All right, so in this video, we're going to do a basic palpation for serratus posterior inferior. So we're going to find it, and we're going to find its bony landmarks. So Jen is standing. We're going to look at where the muscle starts. The muscle originates from the spinous processes of T11 through L3. So right about in here. Okay, that's our origin. It's going to come up and it's going to insert on the posterior aspect of ribs 9 through 12. So the very bottom of the rib cage. So how do we find those ribs? So let's find our iliac crest first. Let's work our way up the hip until we find our hip bone, which is right there, our iliac crest. And we're going to come up from there and we're going to find that 12th rib, the very bottom rib. Now, some of you would say this is tight tissue. Well, it could be, but that's because the rib is there and it's attached to the rib. If we go a little bit more lateral, we fall into just space. So we have no density there. That's because we've fallen off of the rib, right? From the 12th, I'm going to move up to the 11th, and then up again to the 10th, and then one more time up to that 9th rib. So we're going to get 4 digitations in serratus posterior inferior. And that muscle is going to digitate. It's going to spread into 4 different sections that are going to attach to those 4 ribs. Ribs 9, 10, 11, and 12. It comes from the spinous processes of T11 through L3. So how can we find those? Let's come to the iliac crests again. I'm going to come to both sides here, see if I can get my arm out of the way. Okay, we know that our iliac crests are at about the L5 level on most people. All right, so we can also work our way up the sacrum, find that spinous process for L5. Then we're just going to go up, L4. Here's our L3, right? L2, 1, T12, and T11. Now these get a little bit snugger, a little bit closer together as we get into the thoracic spine. So T11 through about L3. Then the muscle is going to go diagonal toward the arm or toward the underarm, right, toward the axilla, diagonal up into the posterior rib cage. Its action is to draw the rib cage down during exhalation. So as she exhales, that rib cage is going to come down and in. That's the action of serratus posterior inferior. All right, now let's do this in a prone position, lying on this lovely massage table. So again, let's come up from the sacrum. So here's her sacrum. As we get to the top of the sacrum, we round right into those PSISs, right? The posterior superior iliac spine on the back of the iliac crest, on the posterior aspect of the ilium. So that as the iliac crest comes around, it just becomes the PSIS. That's right at the top of the sacrum, right at about L5. So we find that spinous process for L5. We're going to work our way up through L4. Here we hit L3. So that's our mark for this muscle, right? That's the bottom of its origin. And then I'm going to work my way up L2, L1, T11, T12, T11. So we're at T11 through about L3. The muscle is going to come diagonal and insert in 4 different digitations into the 12th rib, the 11th rib, the 10th rib, and the 9th rib. Okay? And again, the way we can find those ribs is in this position, the easiest thing to do is to track down the rib cage until we hit that cartilage at the bottom of the rib cage. Now, every now and again, the 11th rib is so long that it's difficult to tell when you're hitting the cartilage of the 10th rib or you're actually hitting the 11th rib. Sometimes you may have to come around to the front to make sure that you've got the bottom of that cartilage. As we come around, that's going to be our 10th rib. The 11th rib is right below that. The 12th rib is always a little bit shorter, a little bit more toward midline. And we're going to come down into that 12th rib. So we come from the 11th and move inferior into the 12th rib. If we find that cartilage again, right, and track that cartilage around, then we can jump one level up and we're on the 9th rib. So that's how we palpate for serratus posterior inferior.